Hello and thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. I'm Maria Moreau. Today we are talking about hip hop. We're talking with Healthy Hip Hop app founder and CEO Roy Scott. Roy, thank you so much for joining us. Now, right off the bat, I know a lot of people are like, healthy hip hop, what in the world is that? You are doing something pretty unique here, and you're taking hip hop culture and the love of hip hop music wise and making it into a positive educational thing for young learners. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Hip hop is hip hop for children and families. What we do is take the same hip hop beat that kids and parents love and just put a positive message over it about education and health and wellness. And we found success with using this as a learning tool to improve focus and engagement in the learning environments for young students. So we know hip hop is the voice of our youth, and like you said, we want to infuse that with innovative technology, education, and positive attributes to really transform a generation of kids.
And part of your inspiration behind starting this was your love of hip hop growing up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. So I grew up in the hip hop generation, loving the music, loving the culture, and was really influenced by it. So after I came out of high school, started my journey as a hip hop artist in the streets of Kansas City. I'm now here in Atlanta, but originally started in KC, and really had my life-changing moment when I noticed my son Justice repeating my music that promoted drugs, violence, misogyny. And at that point, I knew I couldn't be this kind of influence on my son or anybody else. And that's really what inspired me to create a positive alternative, and Healthy Hip Hop was born.
And I know we wanted to showcase some of that messaging that you actually show on your app and your program. Unfortunately, our system is not cooperating, so we're not able to. But I wanted you to describe to me how this is different from the traditional hip hop that we're used to hearing.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say it's different from traditional hip hop because it's still hip hop culture. It's just really geared towards children and families. So again, we know how influential this music is on young, impressionable minds. So we're not anti hip hop culture. We're just pro our children. So it's like, hey, let's tap into this. It's the same sound, same energy, but all the messaging is really towards uplifting our youth. So I wouldn't say it was different, but it's just embracing it in a new kind of light. And so now infusing that with education, getting kids excited about learning, getting kids excited about being good students, being good citizens. And we know that the power of hip hop can do that for our youth.
And not only is it highly entertaining to watch for myself as an adult, but you have animated characters and different ways that you're engaging young learners, but you're also addressing a more serious conversation about safe social interaction and developing social emotional skills. Can you talk a little bit about how exactly you are teaching those skills to such young people?
Absolutely. So with the social emotional learning, it's about obviously some of the key things there are like self-confidence, self-awareness, and we're also celebrating diversity and culture because a lot of the programs and the things that kids are receiving in schools just don't have the proper representation. So a couple of things are on the social media side. We created an app where kids can create and share content, but in a much safer environment. So this is the first fully native generation of fully native kids who are using apps and internet like out the gate. As soon as they're born, we're pretty much handing them a tablet, and a lot of the platforms just aren't built with them in mind. So with Healthy Hip Hop, they get a safe social media experience where they can create, publish, and share these TikTok style videos, but in a secure network with only their friends, families, and educators. And they also have access to our curated feed of content that's from our H3 contributors.
And this platform isn't just for parents. You're actually working with teachers and educators. Can you talk a little bit about some of the schools that you've worked with, some of the programs that you helped start?
Absolutely. So we're actually working with some schools here at APS. We're working with some charter schools in Atlanta, like Peace Prep Academy. We've done quite a bit of work in some schools in Dallas, Texas, also Kansas City, Missouri. And primarily Healthy Hip Hop has been used as like morning energizers. So they get up and do their daily affirmations. They get active because it's proven that when kids get physically active, it helps improve focus and retention in the classroom. And also all the music is educationally themed. And so that's really kind of been our highest use case right now. But the next step is where teachers are creating content with their kids and sharing with their parents. But again, in this secure, safe circle environment, so not everybody gets direct access to your children.
And it's not every day we get to talk to the founder. So this is essentially your brainchild, and you were here for Healthy Hip Hop from the moment it was an idea to what it looks like today. Can you walk me through, the feeling of when you first came up with the idea and you decided you were going to go for it, to what it looks like today and your reaction towards what this has become?
Right. It's been such an incredible journey, and I'm learning to enjoy every moment. So from the gate, the big picture vision was to become an iconic children's brand, like an urban Disney, a new age Sesame Street. And so it really started with the music, with the content, with creating curriculum. We also did a kids television pilot, and then just paying attention to business, learning the landscape, going through multiple programs. I really seen what was happening in the tech space. And that's when we made the pivot to become a tech company. So developing our own online platform, mobile application, and being a non-technical founder, meaning like I don't develop, I don't code. It was quite a journey, like assembling that team, getting with the right people, learning about raising capital. And ultimately, I knew I had to get to Atlanta because this is where hip hop has lived for the last, at least 30 plus years. And so building my network out and now being able to be here in Atlanta and make Healthy Hip Hop like home base here in Atlanta has been a game changer for us. It's just been an incredible journey, and just learning to be present and just move with the ebbs and flow and be as innovative as possible.
And I want to talk a little to the parents who haven't either themselves been exposed to hip hop or are on the fence about exposing their child. Your platform, your program, how is that going to benefit them as something for them to consider?
Right. Well, I think a lot of parents obviously love hip hop, right? And so kind of share the same story as me. And we know, again, that their kids are, if they want them to or not, they're going to be exposed to hip hop at some point. And so I think for parents, it's like, hey, listen, this is an opportunity for me to still enjoy hip hop, have like a real hip hop experience, but with my kids. So that's the great thing. And kind of one of our key value propositions is that even though this is hip hop for children and families, it's still culturally relevant. It still sounds like what you're hearing on the radio, what you're hearing in the community. And so now this empowers parents to say, okay, look, I can actually have a real experience with hip hop with my kids. I don't have to feel bad about playing this record that may have, some language that I don't want to expose them to, or some context that I don't want to expose them to, and just creates like a family moment. So our goal is to really facilitate these like moments with children and parents to connect through hip hop, but in a safe and like fun way.
And what do you hope young people, who obviously there's a rich history of hip hop here in Atlanta, but this app goes beyond just Atlanta. What do you hope young people take away from this program?
What I hope is that they walk away just empowered. They walk away with the mindset that anything is possible, because that's the key thing about just music, period, not just hip hop, is like music is the universal language. This is what drives and pushes people. So we want to give music, especially hip hop, that is going to inspire you, motivate you, that is going to get you thinking outside of the box and knowing like anything is possible. Even with my own story, like basically coming from, nothing to now being a tech CEO, a founder of a tech company, like anything is possible if you pursue your dreams, with passion, with excitement, and with tenacity. And that's really what we want to push through Healthy Hip Hop, that anything is possible. Just stay focused and keep pushing forward.
And I want to make sure I don't leave anything out, because this is such a unique thing that you are doing, as I mentioned earlier. As you're continuing to get more involved with communities and spread the message of healthy hip hop, what is something that you hope that continues with the program? How do you hope to continue to spread that culture and that teaching here in Metro Atlanta?
Right. Well, the thing is, like, there's so many key stakeholders in Atlanta. You're talking about hip hop, you're talking about education, you're talking about entrepreneurship, the culture that lives here. And now what we're doing is building some really strong relationships with Atlanta and the people here in Atlanta that are making serious moves. And that's why I'm here. So really, like, the hopes and the next steps are connecting with these key stakeholders and really raising the brand awareness, spreading the message on how important this is, and getting these people to really get behind healthy hip hop and making this an Atlanta thing.
And of course, we're going to have a few examples of some of the great work you're doing on our website, as well as a full link to this interview and for the Healthy Hip Hop program on CBS46.com. Roy, thank you so much for your time and joining us here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.